You're nothing but a useless black woman. And right now I'm going to teach you your place, yelled Bryce, just before he ripped the instructor's shirt in front of the entire class. What he didn't know was that she had a decorated military past, and that this humiliation was about to change everything forever. Do you really think some stupid black instructor is going to tell me what to do? Bryce spat, forcefully kicking his chair back. The sharp thud of the wood against the floor echoed in the large lecture hall at Crestwood University. Ms. Avery looked at him from the front, attempting to maintain the signature composure she was known for. Her voice had been firm just seconds ago. Silence, please. I am explaining the material. If you are not interested in the lecture, I invite you to leave. But that simple sentence had ignited something in Bryce, a deep-seated resistance to authority, especially if it came from someone like her. Beside him, another student, Liam, let out a nervous chuckle. Just leave it, bro. She's gonna start crying. In that moment, the laughter spread. 3 for more voices. In seconds, the history of warfare class turned into a circus. Bryce crossed his arms, staring down the instructor. So what now, prof? Gonna call the dean or campus security? He asked, a smirk of pure provocation on his face. She took 2 steps toward him. Bryce, that is enough. I will not tolerate any more disrespect. The word tolerate was gasoline on the fire. You're crazy black woman. You don't run things here, he shot back, raising his voice. You think you're better just because they gave you this mediocre job, but you're still the same. A nobody black woman. A brief, thick silence floated in the air. Even Liam briefly lowered his gaze, but Bryce didn't stop. What's wrong? Did that hurt? Don't get serious, little black instructor. I'm just telling the truth. Hearing this, Ms. Avery gripped the binder she held. Her breathing was slow and measured. I'm telling you for the last time, Bryce. Sit down or get out of my class. Suddenly, Bryce took another step forward. And if I don't, what are you going to do? His voice held that mix of mockery and challenge meant to completely break someone. The entire class watched, not intervening. Some were recording with their phones. Others looked at the floor, pretending not to be there. Do not disrespect me, she finally said, lowering her tone until it was almost a whisper, but Bryce laughed. Respect is earned, slave, and you don't have it and you never will. Liam laughed again, the sound more strained than before. Okay, Bryce, leave her, he whispered. But Bryce kept closing the distance until his shadow fell over her. Look at you all serious. Are you scared of being touched, or do you think you're untouchable? And then, in that moment, Bryce advanced toward the front of the hall, slowly, with that smile that clearly showed his intent to humiliate. Ms. Avery didn't retreat. She simply raised her hand and pointed toward the door. Leave the classroom now, she commanded without raising her voice, yet it was heard firmly. Meanwhile, Liam, still in his seat, slowly placed his pen on the desk. Everyone expected Bryce to obey, but he stopped one step away from her. You really think you can kick me out? He said mockingly. His shadow covered almost all the space between them. She repeated, more slowly, I am asking you to leave. He let out a short, cynical laugh. You don't get it, do you? You don't give the orders here. You're just a black woman. That's all. You don't give the orders, you receive them. As he spoke, the tension in the room reached its peak. Avery clenched her jaw, forcing control. This is your last chance, she warned. Bryce tilted his head, eyes narrowing with mock amusement. Maybe I should show you how things really work here. And who's in charge? He whispered, his voice carrying a dark edge. She didn't flinch. He took a slow step forward and reached toward her shoulder. Stop, she said sharply. He didn't. With a sudden pull, the fabric of her shirt tore, the sound slicing through the silence. Laughter broke out, nervous, uncertain. Some turned away, others recorded. Avery stood motionless, breath steady, eyes locked on him. The room fell silent again. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Close the door. Something in her tone froze everyone. No one moved. The door stayed ajar, light spilling in. Bryce shifted uneasily under her gaze. Avery didn't cover herself or retreat. She walked to the desk, laid down her binder, and began aligning papers with precise care. Each movement echoed in the stillness. Sit down, she said. Chair scraped. No one argued. Bryce tried to grin. Now you're acting tough. But his voice lacked confidence. Her stare was unblinking, stripped of anger or shame. Only control. You are going to apologize, she said. What? He laughed nervously. You're insane. She stepped closer. Do it. Now. For the first time, Bryce faltered. He looked to Liam for backup, but Liam stared at the floor. Prof, maybe, he started, then stopped at Avery's look. Another step, and she was inches away. "You have no idea what you've just done," she said quietly, and the chill in her voice made the air heavy. Bryce scoffed, trying to recover. "What are you going to do? Call your union?" Her tone didn't change. "I'm not teaching you respect. The class will." The bell rang outside, but time inside froze. Avery picked up a metal ruler, holding it lightly, not as a threat, but as a measure between them. Bryce's smirk faded. She waited, calm as a blade. The silence pressed down until Bryce stepped back, uneasy. Her stillness made him feel smaller. "You think you're so tough, huh?" he snapped. She said nothing. Rage flickered in his eyes. "Look at me when I'm talking, slave," he barked and shoved her hard. The binder fell. Gasps erupted. Avery barely moved back. Then, in one swift motion, turned, and one saw it clearly. In a blink, Bryce was on the floor, face down, one arm pinned behind his back. Avery knelt beside him, steady, expression unreadable. "Let go of me," Bryce shouted, his voice cracking. She didn't raise hers. "No one moves," she ordered. Liam half rose but froze under her gaze. Bryce twisted, but every attempt brought pain. He finally stopped struggling. The class watched, wide-eyed, as realization dawned. This woman had seen worse places than any of them could imagine. When she released him, she stood calmly. "Now, Bryce, leave." He rose, clutching his arm, face pale, and walked out without a word. The door closed. Avery inhaled slowly, steadying her breath. She picked up the binder, smoothed the pages, and returned to the front. The rip in her shirt remained, but no one dared to look. Her voice was calm, almost cold. Today's lesson was on how violence is born from fear and disguises itself as power. She glanced around. "Seems we've just witnessed it." She walked to the window and opened it. Air rushed in, carrying the metallic scent of tension. "I will not ask who recorded," she said without turning. "But remember, what happened here does not end here." Liam swallowed. "Are you going to report him, Prof?" Avery turned, meeting his eyes. "I will do what must be done." The bell rang again, sharp and final. No one moved until she spoke. "You may leave." They filed out in silence. Liam lingered at the doorway. "Prof," he said softly, "what you did, how did you learn that?" She held his gaze for a long moment, her voice steady. "I didn't learn it here." Then she returned to her desk, arranging her notes as though nothing had happened. In the corridor, whispers spread quickly. Rumors that Miss Avery wasn't just another instructor, that her past carried something fierce and unspoken. No one knew where she came from, but everyone sensed it wasn't from safety or comfort. Inside the classroom, the air still trembled with what had happened. The overturned chair, the scuffed floor, the faint mark of her hand where she'd steadied herself. All reminders of the moment when power shifted. For a long time, no one entered. When the next group of students arrived, they hesitated at the doorway, feeling the weight of something left behind. Later that evening, the video spread. Online, the scene replayed again and again. The confrontation, the silence, the blur of movement, and then the stillness. Avery kneeling beside the fallen student, composed, almost surgical. Comment sections filled with outrage, disbelief, admiration, and speculation. But Ms. Avery didn't check her phone. She stayed in her office long after dark, a single lamp illuminating her papers. The torn shirt was gone, replaced by a cardigan. She moved with the same calm precision, though her reflection in the window looked older, heavier. From somewhere in the hallway, laughter echoed, carefree, distant. She looked up for a moment, then back at her notes. Her hand trembled slightly before she steadied it. A knock came at the door. She didn't answer. After a pause, footsteps retreated. Avery exhaled slowly, eyes fixed on nothing. The classroom image replayed in her mind. The fear, the control, the violence barely contained. She had sworn never to lose control again, not after what happened years ago, in a place far from here. Her fingers traced the edge of the ruler lying on the desk. The same ruler she'd held earlier, cool and unbent. Outside, the campus lights flickered on, one by one. Students passed by, their laughter faint through the glass. Avery stood, closed her binder, and turned off the lamp. In the sudden darkness, her silhouette lingered for a second. Calm, upright, unyielding. Then she walked out, her footsteps fading into the hallway's echo, leaving behind only silence and the faint scent of iron in the air.